Hey, and we're live. Hello, welcome. We are coming to you live from Printify HQ for our first webinar of the 2022 season. I'm here joined by my lovely colleague Sophie from Merchant
Hey.
Support. Hello. And I'm Martin from Merchant Success. As I mentioned before, this is the first webinar of the year, and we'll be covering the most frequently asked questions from our merchant support team. So no matter where you are on your merchant journey, come along with us and hopefully you'll learn something new that can help you become the best merchant possible and put as much money in your pocket and save some time. So before we get started, please do me a favor, put in the chat where you are joining us from, state, country, province, city, whatever that might be. I always like to see where people are zooming in from. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and start the presentation. Okay, as I said before, my name is Martin. I'm from the Merchant Success team, joined by Sophie from Merchant Support. And in the vein of Merchant Support, now, in addition to being on duty 24/7 and available through that little green button on the lower left-hand side of your Printify dashboard, can you tell us a little bit more about the structure to kind of give our viewers kind of a peek behind the curtain as to what our merchant support is all about?
Of course. Well, we have 9 teams within merchant support. 4 of them are pre-order teams. Those are setup, POD info, integrations, and product and design. We also have 4 teams in post-order. Those are order issues, delivery issues, order change, and order status. And we also have the operational team, which is dealing with all the technical support.
Okay. And we've added, I hesitate to even guess, but hundreds of new support agents over these last few years. So no matter what time, day or night, if you have an issue, if you got a problem, you have something that you have some questions that you need to get answered, you can always reach out and one of our merchant support agents will respond to you ASAP, right?
Yes.
Exactly. All right. And speaking of information, we're going to cover a lot of topics today, okay? And so you don't have to sit there writing down notes as we go along. We'll be providing helpful links and all that stuff to the topics that we cover, and we'll be sharing that in PDF format, and we'll be sending that to everyone within the sound of my voice. So plan on getting that so that you have everything you need to follow along and everything you need to accompany this webinar. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, let's talk a little bit about POD in general. Sophie, how does POD work?
So basically, our platform connects the store owners with a large network of print providers so that the merchant can focus on the important things like the designs and growing the business. And we use a print-on-demand business model, meaning that you don't have to worry about having a storage unit, as we offer dropshipping. And your product will be produced only when you already have the order from the customers. So this gives you more freedom. You don't have to worry about making a huge financial commitment on your part.
That's right. Everything will be produced only when it's ordered by a customer of yours, as Sophie mentioned. So it's a great way to start a business with little upfront cost. Now, POD is really the wave of the future because it allows you to be start your small business, start and build along as your business grows. And Printify is there at every stage to support you, and we'll get into a little bit of how that goes. This webinar, we'll be talking specifically about pre-order issues. And in our next webinar, we'll be talking about post-order issues. But so we'll be splitting these frequently asked questions in half. So in addition to what you're going to learn here, just know that if you have any questions at any time, Printify's merchant support is available 24/7, little green button, lower left-hand side. Okay, let's continue. Okay, now let's talk about the orders a little bit. If I'm a merchant, what can I expect in terms of turnaround times for my order?
Well, almost all orders are shipped within 2 to 7 business days after you send the order to production. But this, of course, can differ from order to order.
Okay, so generally I can, if by the time my customer places an order, they can expect that to go through production in about 2 days, 2 business days, 7 business days on the high end, but generally somewhere in between that 2 and 7.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So let's talk a little bit about price. How much do I need to pay to place an order?
Well, you will have to pay only when the order is sent to production, and you will have to cover the production cost, which you can see in the catalog, and the shipping. Shipping prices are mentioned in the shipping rates page. You can also subscribe to Printify Premium to kind of lower the costs. And there are also some taxes, but we're going to cover that a bit later.
Yes, we'll certainly get into taxes, everyone's favorite subject. But Sophie mentioned a little bit something there about Printify Premium and also the shipping rates page. This information will be provided along with you in PDF format. But just quickly, Printify Premium, it's our subscription service. Pay $29 a month, and it gives you instantly 20% off of every single item you fulfill through Printify. So if you're looking to get the best price possible, Printify Premium is the way to do it. And if you do at least $150 worth of sales every month, Printify Premium pays for itself. So if you're doing some pretty good business, Printify Premium is a no-brainer, and we'll make sure you have all the information for that. Okay. And why do I have to pay tax on my orders? Now, before we answer this question, Sophie, are you a tax expert?
I'm not.
And I am not a tax expert either. So before we go into this subject, and we'll talk a little bit about it now and then a little bit later in the webinar, but it should be known that we are not tax experts, and we highly recommend that you avail the services of a tax expert with a background in e-commerce. Okay, so you don't want to run afoul of the tax authorities. And so again, please contact a sales tax professional. All right, with that said, we can certainly get into a little bit of this and a little bit of that when it comes to taxes. So let's go ahead and move on. Why do I have to pay tax on my orders?
Well, we are obligated to collect and remit tax on orders that are shipped within the US. That's the sales tax. And we also collect the value-added tax in European Union countries, plus the UK and Norway. Also, orders that are sold locally in these 27 member countries or just imported to one of them will also be charged VAT. We're going to explain that a bit later, though.
Yeah, we'll get into taxes a little bit later, but just know taxes are a thing, and you will have to collect and remit taxes, and we'll get into the basics of that. But yes, you're not in the U.S., in the EU, taxes are a thing. Okay. So let's move on and talk a little bit about the integrations that we have in terms of the sales channels and things like that. The first question in this particular subject is what causes unsynced orders or items missing from orders, wrong, variant synced, that sort of thing?
Well, there are various reasons, but the most common ones would be a simple delay, as it might take up to 12 hours for the orders to sync from your sales channel. Maybe the store was disconnected or the stock keeping unit number was changed on the sales channel side. So if you see that your order hasn't synced, please reach out to the support team so we can check what's going on.
Exactly. So it could be something just as simple as a simple delay, because one thing you need to understand is that there is a ton of information coming back and forth, and these orders may have to it may take a while for it to show up from your sales channel side to your Printify side. So these kind of delays are perfectly normal, nothing to worry about, and they can fluctuate depending on the traffic that's involved, and things like that. But yes, you mentioned SKU numbers. It's likely. Yep. If you have an issue, would you say, what is it, 90, 80%, 95? Well, whatever it might be, it is a high number of instances. If you're having an issue, chances are that SKU number is a little bit wonky. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we get on. Okay. So why would some orders be missing? Why would some items, be missing from some orders in Printify?
Well, that's the SKU number. If the listing has been edited on the sales channel side, the connection might have been lost. And if you do edit the listings, please remember to do it on Printify's side and then republish them on the sales channel to avoid any sync issues and everything.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and reiterate exactly what you just said, because it's important. When you're doing any editing, any changes, please do it on the Printify side of your store, and then republish to your sales channel, and then everything lines up. Because every time you make a little edit, even if you move your design, a fraction, that's going to cause your SKU number to change. And then if it's not republished, then it won't match up with the SKU number on your sales channel side. And all of a sudden, there's a missing item. We don't want that. So do your edits on your Printify side, republish, and everyone's happy. No problems, right?
Yep.
Exactly. All right. Why are the wrong variants, such as color and size, when we talk about variants, synced in an order?
Well, besides the changed SKU number, there might be times when you have selected the wrong item when importing the order. So that's always super important to double check when you import the orders. We have the order import tool. So if you're using that, make sure you have read the article in our help center to understand how it works. But other than that, just edit the listings on our end.
Exactly. Yeah. Help Center, that's an excellent place. I'm glad you mentioned that. It's an excellent place on our website there for you to find really helpful articles that take you through various aspects of Printify. And of course, if you have questions, anytime, 24/7, you can always reach out to
Merchant support.
That's right. So let's get into the setup of things. Why is the payment for my order not going through?
Well, first of all, you should check if you have set up the payment method on Printify. We have a great article on the Help Center as well, which explains how to do it. But in general, there are two options how you can top up your balance by PayPal, or you can connect your credit card. And that way you can pay for your orders here on Printify.
Okay. And can you talk a little bit about the order fulfillment settings and what the specifics are there?
The order fulfillment settings. Well, you can set the fulfillment settings to automatic. Basically, you will be charged after 24 hours after the order comes in, or in any time that you set up for yourself, if that's easier for you, or we're going to charge you after each order, after it's sent to production.
Okay. And you could also have that set to manual. That means everything stays on hold in your account, and you push the little fulfill button on your orders page, send each one to production exactly when you want to. And of course, one big advantage of having all your orders sent to production at a single time every single day is if you have the sort of credit card that runs into trouble if a whole bunch of charges are charged to it several times a day. Well, one way to get around that is to have your orders go through and charged one time once a day. That way there's one charge on your credit card. Plus the additional benefit of that is going to be, it gives you a little bit of buffer for your customers to still contact you if, let's say, they wanted if they ordered a large, but they meant to order a medium. If that order hasn't been sent to production, you can easily make those edits on your on the Printify side of things so that your customer gets what they want. And then once a day, boom, everything goes into production and the process starts. Okay. So here we are talking about taxes again. And I'm going to say it again. We are not tax experts, and we highly recommend you use the services of a sales tax expert. But let's talk about taxes a little bit more. Why am I being charged tax?
We can try to clarify some things for you. We have great articles under the payment section in our help center explaining this in more detail. You can also consult a tax advisor, but basically in our platform, you will encounter two types of taxes. We have the sales tax and we have the value-added tax. Sales tax applies to all orders that are fulfilled and shipped within US. But VAT applies to orders that are sold locally or shipped across the borders of the European Union, 27 member countries, plus UK and Norway, as well as orders imported from the US to the European Union. So we can just recommend you to understand if you can become sales tax exempt, or if you are a VAT payer, and then just follow the guides in our help center to set up everything in Printify.
Okay. And we highly recommend that you do what it takes to become sales tax exempt, at least on our end. That way you can pass that sales tax on to your customer and eliminate a step in between, and everybody's much happier. But one thing you should know is that, it's not that we want to charge you tax. We have to charge you tax. The days of e-commerce being tax-free, well, those are long gone. And we just want to make sure that everybody is adhering to the tax man's rules, and that's how we do it. Okay. So let's move on from taxes and talk a little bit about the order routing. And I'll get into exactly what we're talking about with order routing. But for instance, let's just talk about this one question: why was my order not routed?
Well, we have this great feature that allows you to route your order to a different print provider if something is out of stock. So just to begin with, make sure you have enabled it in your settings. It might be that the item is out of stock for all the print providers, or there are no exact matches. So if you see that you have enabled the order routing tool and the order is not routed, you can just edit it manually, pick another product or product variant, send it into production, because the order will remain on hold.
Okay, and there's going to be a few things that'll prevent an order from being routed. One, there's simply there's not an acceptable substitute that is available for routing, or say, for instance, the print area difference is larger than 8%. If it's larger than 8%, then it won't be routed. But for those orders that have a slightly different print area, please know that the designs will be cropped to fit. But if I can just have your total attention for just 2 seconds here, put down your coffee. I want to talk to you about order routing, because it is the single tool within Printify that is the most valuable for merchants like you, because it takes advantage of what makes Printify so special and what makes us so different than our competition. Our vast print network, which we are adding to on an almost weekly basis. You get to unlock the power of the print network, and gives you the freedom and flexibility to source items from our entire network, because every once in a while, stuff goes out of stock. But if you're using order routing, you can allow us and our algorithms to choose from within our network to fulfill those products. It's an absolutely wonderful tool. I highly encourage you to do some investigations on it. If you're not using it, please consider it. If you are, get up to date with how it works. And if you have questions, you can always reach out to
Merchant support.
Exactly. Okay. So let's move on a little bit and talk about product and design. Okay. What are the most common design mistakes?
Well, there are a few, but I want to mention the low resolution, transparency issues, or embroidery limitations. Before you create the designs, please read our design guide. It will explain you all the details about the resolutions and all the things that you have to follow to make sure that your design is of good quality. We also have the embroidery limitations. For that, we have the embroidery guide, which will explain them to you. You can find them on our website. Make sure you check them out before submitting the orders to production.
That's right. If you're just getting started, or if you're still midway along your merchant journey, if you haven't already, I highly recommend you avail yourself of our design guide. You can find that on our website. We'll also provide that in PDF format for you, so you know what so you can make use of it. So you know exactly how to submit your designs. And one thing that I'd like to mention that we run into a lot here on our end is that design quality. Now, for instance, let's say you uploaded a design. Our mockup generator has read that design and is displayed it to be of high resolution, but the image itself is of low quality. You're going to run into some issues, because once it's printed on the other end, it's going to look not of high quality. And that is because what you have done is you've uploaded a high quality image of a blurry design. So I highly recommend that you order yourself a sample before you make this available to your customers. Let it arrive, put your own eyes on it, and get a good feel for it, so you know exactly how it's going to look when it arrives on your customer's doorstep. Okay? Excellent. And what can I do when a product goes out of stock? Here we are talking about stock issues again, but let's talk about some solutions.
Well, yeah, you can enable the order routing, or you can edit the orders manually, because they will remain on hold. You can just go ahead, choose another product or product variant, maybe with a different print provider, and just send it to production.
Again, here's where the power of our network comes into play, because we have, as I mentioned before, it grows week by week. So even if order routing can't source an item from within the network, I'm sure we have something in there that'll work for your customers. So it's just a matter of recreating that product, creating a manual order, and then before you know it, your customers' products are in the mail and on the way. Okay, so we have plenty of solutions for your stock issues. Okay. Wow, we've come to the end of our presentation. Sophie, it was an absolute pleasure. I really hope everybody at home learned something. And I know we kind of touched a little bit on the surface of each of these questions, and I know you're going to have more questions. So when you have questions, you have a couple of options. You can go to our help center, read some helpful articles, but the best way to get an answer for your question is to reach out to
Merchant support.
That's right. Exactly. Well, thank you for joining us for this first webinar of our 2022 webinar series. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope you learned something. Join us for our next webinar, where we will be talking about post-order issues and covering the frequently most asked questions when it comes to questions after your orders have been sent to production. So, on behalf of me and on behalf of Sophie, thank you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.